It's a commuting weapon, that's what it is. Ride it like a supermoto. NC750X Factor. Well, greetings folks, and welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, this is a Honda NC750X. Not a bike that I would normally be interested in, but I have to say I've been actually really quite surprised. So just a quick update on the channel. The V-Strom is now away, sadly, but I feel I've made the right decision. It just wasn't quite me for the time being, so that's away. I've picked up another bike. Review of that one will be coming soon, but that's actually currently in getting a few bits and pieces done to it. So this is the current situation with this bike. So I've got this bike until it's been until it's returned. So anyway, a Honda NC750X. Interestingly, a bike I've never ridden before. I know there are other versions of this one. This one is pretty new. It's a 70 plate. It's done 600 miles. 745cc, 58 of your very best brake horsepowers, 69 newton meters of torque, and your 58 brake is made at 6,750 revs, which is quite surprising, as that's just about up near the red line. Interesting. This colour itself, this one is glint wave blue metallic, I believe. You also get ballistic metallic black, and you also get Grand Prix red. I don't mind the blue, it's actually right. Wheelbase itself is 1,525 millimeters, and interestingly, the DCT version, this is actually available with a 6-speed transmission, or with the Honda DCT, and the DCT one is actually 10mm longer at 1,535 millimeters. Seat height is 800mm. And the weight of the bike itself is 214 kilos. And if you are interested in the DCT one, is actually 10 kilos heavier at 224 kilos. Interestingly, I guess obviously just the extra gubbins of the engine. So there you go. It does have a slipper clutch, surprisingly. It's actually really quite good fun to ride. We'll head out on it in a bit, and I'll give you my thoughts. The seat's quite sculpted. Anyone that knows these bikes a little bit, I think they've always been a little bit, they're a bit bland, a bit boring, but I've got to say my opinions of this has changed somewhat since I've ridden it. The revs on here, the rev counter on there, it actually changes colour as it revs up through the rev range, which is quite interesting, and it's got adjustable traction control with the button there on the handlebar. Other than that, it has warning lights, and that's pretty much it. It's relatively basic. I don't believe it has any riding modes. I haven't found any. So there we go. A boot where you would expect the fuel tank. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just take this out of here. So the fuel tank where you would expect it is not where you expect it. So yeah, that's the boot in there. It's huge, absolutely cavernous. Obviously, plenty of space there for a full-size lid. Plus probably a McDonald's or something, I don't know, but yeah, huge space in there, and I think this is obviously just for bungeeing bits and pieces on. So like I say, it's got a bigger boot, obviously where the fuel tank would be. The fuel tank itself actually nestles in underneath the bike there, so to actually get to the fuel tank itself, this key is double acting. It's got a double acting key, so if you turn it the other way, it actually pops the boot, and there is the fuel tank. Interestingly, it's also claimed to have better acceleration, and the seat height is slightly lower than the previous one, and the screen has also been redesigned. I don't know, I think it looks alright. It seems to work quite well. LED lights all around. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Not bad at all. So it's got the like I say, it's got the Honda selectable torque control. There's only 2 modes for the traction control. Like I say, 6-speed gearbox with clutch, slipper clutch, and it does have the DCT option available. Brakes are actually pretty good. well, I say they're pretty good. They're okay. They're adequate for the bike, although I did feel that, to be honest, the bike encourages you to ride it. It's sportier than what you would perhaps anticipate it would be. It's a 320mm disc on the front, pedal disc, as you can see, single disc with 2-piston caliper, and the rear is there is a 240. There is a 240 disc on the rear, single piston caliper, obviously. Tyres aren't a bad size. They're 120/70/17 front and a 160/60 on the rear. And obviously you've got your conventional telescopic forks, as they are there, which are 41mm. So there you go. Let's put this back down. Oh no, there we go. There we go. Sorted. So yeah, plenty of space for pillion should you wish to take one. But yeah, it's not a bad riding bike, I've got to say. But yeah, we'll jump on in a sec, and we'll give it a blast. Additionally, you can get there are travel packs and bits and pieces you can get from which gives you a top box, panniers, and a centre stand. There's also an adventure pack available, which gives you crash bars around here. You can get LED fog lights, and there's also a USB port in the luggage itself, and I think it comes with heated grips as well, that one. And there's also the urban pack, which gives you a top box and a higher screen, just like the adventure pack does, and it also gives you a centre stand. Centre stand comes with the that comes with travel pack adventure pack as well. So probably worth having, I would say, if you're going to be using this for touring. But I've got to say, at 58 horsepower, it's really quite surprising. It does get up through the box pretty quick. I found I was running out of gears and running out of revs very quickly, but it does encourage you to ride it quite quick. And for what is essentially a commuter bike, as Honda say, it's one bike to suit all eventualities. And I've got to say, I'm quite impressed. So anyway, enough blabbering on. We'll go and get togged up, and we'll go for a little run. So here we are on the NC750X. So first impressions, the seat is obviously I've ridden this home from the dealership, but the seat is quite low. It feels quite sculpted around your backside, around your body. It's yeah, you can feel feel the edges of the seat around your bum. Seat feels quite flat. Your knees are bent, but you do kind of sit. You're kind of set in between being in the bike and being on the bike. Easy to reach the bars, no problem at all. Digital speedo, obviously, as you can see there, with your MPG, range till empty, all that kind of good stuff. Gear indicator, fuel gauge, traction control settings, which are just, like I said earlier, just adjusted by the button on the side of the display here. There's not really much else to the bike itself. Like I was saying earlier, you do find you tend to find you run out of revs fairly quickly. It's red line there, like I say, it's red line there at what, 6250, which is right near the red line. But you know, for a bike that's only got 58 horsepower, it wants to mess around. It'll wheelie off the throttle in first gear, no problem. Turn the traction control off, and if you do want to do that, you just press and hold. Just press and hold the traction control button, and that's it turned off there. So there we go. The only thing you will notice is the same as a lot of the newer Hondas, is that the blooming sort of just, here we go, right. Oh, there we go. As I was saying, a lot of the new Hondas find that the indicator is underneath the horn, which is a bit of a pain in the neck, because you end up hitting the horn every time we turn off the indicator. But you know, it's really deceptive, this bike. It whips up to speed really quickly, and it's very manoeuvrable. It's very light in its feet. Obviously with the bars and everything else like that, you know, it's a physically light bike. Feels it. But you know, you're sitting around 60 mile an hour, 4,000 revs there. You just tickle the throttle, and that's it. Basically an instant 70. So wind protection is pretty good as we're going along here. at 60, indicated 65. There's a bit of wind blast kind of just underneath the chin, top of my chest, around the shoulder area, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Hopefully there's not too much wind noise coming through the microphone. But it's got, you know, it's got plenty of poke. Pretty surprising. Just shows that even like the V-Strom, you know, that was 71 horsepower, but even this at 58, in honesty, it doesn't actually feel like it's that much slower. If anything, it actually feels a bit more. It feels a bit more eager. Obviously, just the way it's been tuned. And the other cool thing as well is the rev counter changes colour as you accelerate. So it's kind of greeny at the minute, and then as you go, there's blue. It looks like blue through my tinted visor, but as you get up through the revs, it changes. Get too close to the red line, it changes to red, which is quite a neat. It's quite a neat little idea. You notice you get quite a lot of reflection. As you can see down there on the screen itself. You get quite a lot of reflection on the dash. And when I rode this bike home in the sunlight, it was quite yeah, not overly easy to see the display, depending on how the light's hitting it. I don't know how well it would scratch up, but I guess it's another consideration. But yeah, I think although it's just an LCD screen, I would have preferred something with a bit more backlight into it. I would certainly say that I prefer the LCD version on my 750, to be fair, on the GSXS. It's just a bit clearer to see, especially in all lights. But you know, it's a comparison in today. This bike is obviously fairly bog standard. It doesn't have the heated grips. It doesn't have any of the tour packs or the adventure pack or the urban pack on it. But for going through, for commuting back and forth to work every day, you can see why this bike would be so good. And you know, it really has. It has actually changed my opinion of them quite a lot. I was quite sceptical about these. I always thought they were a bit boring, but I've got to say that until you've actually ridden one, you don't actually realise how much fun it can actually be. And Honda obviously realised that with the you know, adding the slipper clutch in as well, which is a neat little nice little addition for a fairly standard bike, especially as it's basically a commuter at the end of the day, isn't it? So but the gearbox is lovely and light. You don't really feel it going through the gears as such. It's that smooth. But the bike's really easy to manoeuvre at low speed. It's an absolute doddle. And here we are, what, second gear. So that's it. We're just hitting the red line there. Yeah, you run out of revs. Run out of revs pretty quick. But yeah, suspension wise, it actually floats along the road fairly well. Coming up to roundabouts on reasonably heavy braking, I would say if anything, it's yeah, they feel a little bit separate to the rest of the bike as a package. I guess that's obviously where the quality of the suspension comes in. The suspension's okay, but you can see it's built to a price, it's built to budget. Built up brakes as well. In fact, if anything, I would say the rest of the bike, the performance of the engine doesn't really equate to the performance of the brakes. That's how that's kind of how it feels. But yeah, we're pottering along here at 49 mile an hour, fifth gear, just ticking over 3,000 revs. Open the throttle, and there's plenty of torque there, plenty of pick up and go. And I think because the bars are actually set a little bit lower than what you would expect on like an adventure bike. If I compare it to the V-Strom, you know, the bars on that were quite high, and towards you, whereas the reach to these is very easy, and if anything, they're actually slightly lower than they were on that. which does make for a very comfortable riding position, I have to say. But she goes well, she really does. It really is surprising. Really is surprising. We'll stick it back on TC1. There we go. Not because you really need it, but more because of the. It's just annoying having that red orange. It's annoying having that amber light on you. But I'll leave my braking a little bit later here onto the roundabout. And yeah, they work. They work, but you don't get that. You know, you don't get that bite that you would expect off of a sports bike. But they're only a twin piston caliper, so. But it picks up really well. Very surprising, very, very surprising. And it's just so nimble as well. No effort at all maintaining cruising speed here. Absolutely none whatsoever. It would be interesting to try the on a taller screen and see what see how much difference that makes, if any. Well, I've got to say, my head isn't overly affected by the wind blast at all at the minute. This is one of those bikes that I imagine is very overlooked unless you know a little bit about. Which is one thing you find you hit quite a lot on this. You run out of revs and you run out of gears pretty quickly. You don't actually realise how quick you're going on it until you look at the speedo. Super deceptive. It's a good little bike. It really is. So that's me just banged down at second gear there. No problem at all. You can actually short shift into third there. You can actually ride it a bit like a supermoto. The clutch just changes up to the box there, no problem at all. It's not a trail bike by any means, but you can probably stick some trail tyres on it. Do some very light off-roading with it. Interestingly, it's actually classed as an adventure bike according to Honda's website. I was expecting to see it in the street urban category, but they obviously decided that that's not the case, and it should be classed as an adventure bike. But it's got loads of pick up off of roundabouts and stuff. It really has. Keep feeding the gears and it keeps going. Or you can just head to the shops. Don't put your helmet inside the storage area. Don't fill it full of beer. Strap a tent to the back. Go and smash the twisty roads. Have your mates. Surprise them on your little parallel twin. And I would say that this is more urgent than the V-Strom, and certainly less soft. I wouldn't say it's any less capable. And if anything, I would say the performance itself is, yeah, a bit more. It feels a bit more urgent. I've not had a chance to try out the top end of it, but it's all right. It's all right. Certainly doesn't feel like it's lacking in power between the two. Was it 22 brake horsepower between them? Yeah, 23. Don't really notice it. Of course, the V-Strom is a bigger bike, of course, and it's quite heavy. Back brake's a bit vague. Don't get a lot of feeling from that, but it does what it needs to. It's good good fun, good fun. A very capable, fun, cheap to run, practical commuter. And you can't really ask for more than that, can you? Yeah, one thing I didn't mention was the was riding this. You know, obviously this is a 6-speed transmission, manual clutch, obviously. But yeah, the dual clutch transmission one, the automatic one. I guess if you were going truly urban, then that would be the way to go, I suppose. Go for the DCT version, and yeah, you've got yourself a right proper little commuter then. Oh, squeeze through here. Yeah, these brakes they're all right for town, but when you lean on them a bit harder, you notice their shortcomings a little bit. But for essentially what was a commuter bike, it's actually all right. It's okay. They're adequate. They're adequate for the purpose in which they are intended. Oh, yeah, and suspension's not overly supple. But it's a beast through town. Loads of low down torque. And she sounds good too. Sound good with a can on it. And it's also nice and narrow. You can fit through tiny little gaps. Surprising given the mirrors and stuff, but yeah, it's got plenty of leverage to haul it around. But the bike itself is nice and narrow for commuting. You really can fit through tiniest of gaps. And second gear will take you anywhere from nothing up to 60 in a blink. Ride it like a supermoto. Ride it like you stole it. That's probably why I put a slipper clutch on it in the first place. Nobody knows where they're going. Can't really, I don't know if it's the noise of the bike is coming through on the microphone, but it does sound quite gruff. Yeah, I couldn't see the there's the thing I hadn't noticed. Couldn't see the display at all going through that going underneath that bridge. So let's see what it's like through here. Bear in mind my visors could take a moment to tint or untint. Yeah, not overly easy to see, but it's nice and green. There you go, that's better. Yeah. Don't know why that's coming through on the camera. Bye bye. It's a commuting weapon, that's what it is. Tiniest of gaps. It's a bit like a scooter, but better. Balance of the clutch is so light as well. This would be a great learner bike. Very easy to ride. Very, very easy to ride. It's a bit, I guess this is a bit like the MT-07 in a lot of respects. Not that I've ridden one of them, but it's got that ilk about it. Designed to be something practical and fun, relatively sensible. But actually, you know what? It could be a little bit of a hooligan, which I quite like that. Bikes that can be ridden in ways in which they weren't really intended. That's what it's all about. Fun. NC750X Factor. a little something. Gordon Bennett. We are going to go this way. Oh, it's not happy going around there at that speed. It's a bit jerky. Yeah, second gear around there is a little bit. Can't get used to this indicator. Second gear around that roundabout was just a little bit too slow. And it is geared quite. Yeah, it's geared quite high. So it's happier. Yeah. So that feels too revvy. Second there. Third's alright. Yeah, third's alright at 30. That's fine. Well, heading back to our destination. I will say au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, arrivederci, adios. Thank you very much for watching and staying with this channel. And yeah, we'll get some more stuff on the go soon. 750 video. There's another one of those coming soon. Obviously the screen was the latest edition, but yeah, there's another video to come from that. Not to mention the new steed. But yes, I think the stalwart of the channel. 750 is due a little bit of love, and update video on that, what's going on with that, plans for the future, etc. So we'll catch you soon. Bye bye for now.